13 love, 13 knowledge, 13 wisdom, 13 respect. This is your creation, and this is the next level. And this will be the next level of thinking, of evaluating your life, and really just realizing um, how your life might just be ran by just programs, by what we listen to, by what we watch, by what we learn, by what we observe. But if life is all about programs, then who are you? And is there a true you beyond the programs? so, um, so that's why I titled this "The Mind of God and the Mind of You." And this is going to really challenge you and make you really analyze your life, right? And I can only talk about my life because I'm the experiencer of my reality, right? So I've always been a deep thinker. If you've been watching me, I always talk about that, that I always deeply observe, I study, I research, and really just look at the deeper meaning of things, right? Going to the next level. What is the next level of this? What is the reason behind these things, right? And the biggest topic, especially when you grow up in religion, is that the English Bible teaches you about God, and the church gives you the concepts of God, right? Um, and I'm going to be straight honest with you guys. 95% of people have never encountered a creator, have never encountered angels, have never encountered Christ, have never had a true spiritual encounter. But the 5% have. And a lot of times those 5% have a deeper understanding of things than the 95%. However, those 95% of people, I guarantee you, have had spiritual encounters, but they never explored into them. Or they um, turned it off because of what the church talked about, of what a encounter with God or Christ should be, right? Um, so it really goes into interesting things of deep exploration, right? And those who are the seekers and those who want to know the the mores, right, of things and to have a realization of things, you got to really start doing some deep studying of who is God, right? Who is God? Um, can we just go outside and say that's God, right? But you look at the diversity of life, and then you begin to question, well, there are so many faces, so many personalities, personas, programs, so many programs. Um, does that mean that God is a program as well? And how do I fit into all of this, right? It goes into a lot of interesting movies about characters not realizing that they're a game character or that they're part of a TV show, a reality show, right? You think it's real and everything until you really realize, oh, it was all a show, it was all an act. People around me, surrounding me, were just characters that were reading a script to entertain the narrative, to keep you programmed in the reality that you were born into, right? That really makes you look at things um, and be the observer. So just like the movie The Matrix, right? You can either choose to be a part of the program or you can choose to live outside of the program and learning how the program is run. So, with that being said, what, how would you observe if you realized God was a program, right? If God was a program and you have the ability to choose the programs you want to experience, but also expand upon the programs while you're here in this reality, right? Or whatever this reality is, right? Is this a reality of desires? Is this a reality um, of choice? Is this a reality of creation, right? This is your creation. What is this? And really sit down and observe that. That's what I do, right? That's what I do. Um, and with so many people trying to be experts in many different fields, and I'm not saying that all experts um, fake it, but you can really see a lot of concern in the religious realms, in the spiritual realms of uh, of people saying they're leaders and um, experts and things of that nature. Same with UFOs and uh, um, even in the government. Things of this stuff, right? Teachers, you have to go to college to be valid in your program, to be valid in what you want to be, right? And you spend thousands and thousands of dollars for a piece of paper to certify you. Why? Why is that when you can learn all of what you need to learn for free, but you can't be certified, but who's the certifier, right? And you look into who certifies you and just realize that all those certifiers are just a business, a private business, small business, that's just giving you a piece of paper, right? Like, say, employee of the month, right? It's just a piece of paper. It's just part of a business, a driver's license. Those license places are just businesses. They're just creating a program to keep your business, right? And that's what life is some kind of business or program you choose to live in, right? Um, and it gets into a very interesting thing. It gets into where God's mind and your creation and the perception of God's creation, right? But in the realm of creation as a whole, we still, like I said earlier, a realm of diversity, a realm of programs. You choose the programs, you choose your reality. But my struggle that I've really realized is that I want to experience certain things, but can't always get there. It's like there is an automatic program that runs to where you're supposed to be, right? A lot of times people will say, well, God's leading you this way. Well, the program is leading you this way. And the possibilities of how that program is created is obviously through choices. And when you learn about the multiverse, all choices are made simultaneously. You just get to choose which timeline, which multiverse you're going to be on, right? Every single day you wake up, you're on a different timeline. You can see things that are similar, but there are so many things that are different based upon the choices you made previously the day before, right? And if you just sit down and write down all of that, all your experiences, and then you feel that you're being led by a program and not naming it anything but a program, it really gets to be quite interesting. And it goes into, is this your creation? All the way, 100%. And are you wrestling with your creation, Are you wrestling with CPUs that are mixed with real people, right? You don't know who a real person is, who CPU is. But if you continue to research and study your surroundings, you'll begin to see who's real and who's a program. But you can also see the levels, right? The next level people, the mid people, and the low people. And then the people that just are lost altogether, right? Um, and that's where you have to really be observant. So many people um, have such a lack of confidence for themselves that they can't make decisions. And that's where programs come in that should help encourage you, but it just depends on the realm that you look into. Um, in the church realm, they always teach you just to focus on God or focus on Christ without explaining why. What is the reason behind it, right? Um, always viewing that there's something higher than you, but they're really programs. So like God is a program that mentors you, or Christ is a program that mentors you, right? Because Christ is my rock foundation. So I learn from what Christ taught, and Christ teaches you the very same elements, right? That you have to have the personal encounters. Everything outside of you is going to run you because it's a program. But if you go inside you, you can find the real you because it is separate from the program. You live in a program, but the real you is in you. And it's learning to find that balance at the end of the day. And I know that this is not going to make sense for everybody, but I worded it in that way. Um, so then you can really dissect it. Like it's just like with the parables. It's like you got to just sit down and really observe everything in your life. Because if you're really seeking truth, um, if you're really seeking the real you and trying to find answers, you're going to keep digging and digging and digging. And sometimes you run into the programs and you dig too deep. So where does that leave you, right? Um, like with me personally, when the program is just interesting or frustrating, I sit down, I talk with Christ, right? I have that spiritual connection and I keep that open all the time so then I can get information. And that would be like an oracle, right? You do research on oracles. Throughout history, there's always an oracle that was there to give guidance, potentially something that could potentially happen in your life, good or bad. But it's the choices that you make that puts you on those timelines, and you can always change them. But you may not always be able to change the program, right? And that's where it goes into what is the difference between the mind of God and the mind of you, right? Because at the end of the day, you're running things, you're running the suit, and you're choosing the programs at the end of the day. And what happens to the matrix surrounding you when you think that way, right? Um, and that's where it gets really, really interesting at the end of the day, because then you start observing people and how they act and react, and you really can place, like I said, the levels. So like someone who can be really like lazy and ignorant, right? The realm of ignorance, I think is really a good word of putting things right. You can't just say, "Oh, these people are stupid." No, it's their ignorance that clouds their judgment and clouds their reality, right? Because they run on autopilot. They run on the lowest level of programs, right? By choice. And you can choose to be out of ignorance and reach a highest potential, right? Become more educated, or the term smart, right? um, and it's just being diligent and the levels of maturity and responsibility, right? Um, and reaching the level of maturity and responsibility is going to be the mindset that you choose, right? Because if it was the mind of God, you're always going to be not at good enough. And that's the scapegoat, right? You're never going to feel good enough because the church teaches you that um, you're not good enough. And to me, I've never accepted that. And I know for a fact that you can become mature if you choose to. After you realize and be aware that you live in programs, right? The emotions, the emotional body really gets a tug on your reality a lot because we're taught to run on emotions and we're taught to run on personality and personas. So we never really have the opportunity to just sit down and reflect on the mind of God and the mind of you and really begin to see that they're one and the same because we're both running programs, right? The realm of diversity, the realm of God, is the realm of infinite creation. And that's the same with your mind. You can choose limitless potential of what you want to experience and potentially encounter. And I say potentially encounter because your encounters will always be different because every little choice, thought, or idea generates a different timeline, a multiverse for you. That's why they always say that the universe is expanding all the time because every thought creates reality. And when you become self aware, well, even more realities get created, and more and more and more and more and more. Um, and that's what creation wants, right? If this is a program uh, or a project multiverse, right? Project multiverse. How many multiverses of infinity can you create with every single possibility? And how and can you make them all different, or are they going to all kind of collapse onto each other? So say you make this one choice and 20 timelines merge into one. Well, when you merge all of them into one, what happens? All those 20 timelines collapse and now you've made it a single timeline, a main timeline. The merging timelines, right? The merging realities. And there's just such infinite potential in creation, right? And that would be the mind of God. How can I mold and shape creation? It's so many different unique characters and um, uh, selective avatars to create and generate, right? Animals and people, but expanding upon that, like lava creatures, that can live in 100 million uh, temperature, right? Where everything would melt, but these beings survive. Or in the most freezing of temperatures, where nothing should be able to move, and yet you have uh, characters that can move freely in the coldest of ice because they're genetics is made that way. So there's infinite possibilities. There's so much limitations of like, oh, the human vessel is the only true dominant force. But if you do research on DNA, and you'll just see how much experimentation was done to create different kind of creatures and different forms of this human form, right? Um, it goes into the hand of God, right? Be like, people can't be messing with creation. Well, what do you think creation is at the end of the day? Is genetics, is research, is scientists, right? Astronomers, deep diving into the genes of everything, the DNA and all the little molecules inside your body, right? Um, and it's insane. A universe is in you that matches the universe outside you. So what is in you is outside you. Um, but how does that generate? Can we instantly manifest? Yeah, we can. Somehow, way, shape, or form, this engine in here can do wonders, can do amazing things, right? You know, this is the kingdom of God, right? This is the the realm of Eden, right? Um, if you talk to people who study Hebrew and things like that, they will tell you that Eden means delightfulness. So the realm of delightfulness in here, right? So you can create what's in here out here, but how can you bend and shape and morph reality like a painting? How does that work? And because we're separate from things, we're separate. And here's another thing, right? So many people say that we're separate from God. Because like I said, if this is a realm of God, of diversity, this is your mind, how can you merge it into one? How can you become that? The molder, the shaper, right? And that's what I do. That's what I research, that's what I study, that's what I do every single day. You know, can I why can I create while I'm out there? What limitations am I going to experience today? What beauty am I going to experience today? That's what I tell myself every day. What beauty am I going to experience every day? Um, who am I going to meet? What characters am I going to meet? Are these going to be ignorant characters? Are they going to be smart characters? Are they going to be CPUs that are just ran on the program? What am I going to encounter at the end of the day? Um, so yeah, and then every night I sit down and I just become the observer. Like, what did I experience today? Was I caught up in the programs today? Um, what kind of ignorance did I experience today? Um, what kind of self-discovery did I experience today? And was I able to bend or morph reality today? And then just repeat and keep doing it over and over and over again. So I know this is a lot to ponder, and not everybody is at that next level. But really just look at the basics of things. You know, how do you view yourself? Do you view yourself as God is just so much more than you? Or do you view it as a program? God's a program, the mind of God and the mind of you. Merge them together. What does that look like? Oh, you can't do that. Well, why not? Merge creation together. Creation is creation, right? No matter how you look at it, creation is creation. And you want to create an expansion. You don't want to destroy anything. You want to create and expand. Keep expanding and expanding and expanding. If you try to destroy things, destroy saying that you lack things. That's destroying creation. You lack things, right? you're a creator and another creator is telling you you lack things. So I would question that and go, no, I don't lack things. I learn. I observe. Um, and I always want to outperform what I did the previous day, right? And sometimes a program will get the best of you. Other days you win. Other days the program defeats you, and then other days you win again. So it's a cycle of creation, of learning and growing and developing, and on and on and on. I could keep going, right? So hopefully that makes sense. I know that's a lot to digest, but you know, just just find out where you sit in creation and how you view yourself. Because once you realize that God and creation is really equal to you, phew, that's mind blowing. And I'll discuss more about this later because this is going to throw a lot of people off because there's so many ways that people view the word God and keep it up here. But throughout history, and this will be, I think this will be the next video, throughout history, that's where the worship comes in and the the belittling of you comes in as well. So there's imbalance. See, look at that. It's if this was aware, look at that. It's way unbalanced. That's why you need to learn to balance things out in your life. Become balanced. And that's key. And then you become one and connected in creation. So I end on that. So love yourself. Keep shining bright. I'll talk to y'all later.